So to be able to showcase how he's using open metadata, we have Aimen Denche here that will be talking about how he's utilizing it in some really novel and interesting ways that I've had the pleasure of being able to see and definitely think that they were worth sharing. So I'm excited to see and show you all how he is using open metadata.
Well, thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to start quickly by introducing myself. So I'm Aimen Denche. I'm a data engineer and governance at NW, which is a French leader in renewable energy and electric mobility. What we do actually is we build charging stations and smart energy solutions that can help to retrieve, or actually that can help to drive the transition to, I would say, cleaner power. Also, a huge shout out to the entire Open Metadata and Collide team for all of the efforts and the incredible hard work actually they have put into the soul. I started working with Open Metadata, I would say 2 years from now, almost like 2 years. Also, it was, if I do remember, it was like at 1.2.0, and I've did like integrated for multiple sectors such as banking, finance, and energy. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right in. So let me just do this here. So actually, in the world of data, governance is critical for trust and decision making. And usually, I would say companies or organization teams do struggle from these daily challenges, these daily governance challenges. First of all, we have the manual lineage tracking, where generally I would say the teams, they do spend hours to try to understand their data, where it's coming from and where it's going to. Second of all, we have scattered ownership, which means like sometimes we don't really have a single source truth of, I would say, who owns what. The outdated descriptions and tags that leads generally to confusion and inconsistent usage. The repetitive and redundant tasks, such as I would say like people or actually teams, they do struggle from doing the task each day because like in long term, it will be really tiring and exhausting. And finally, the slow and unreliable insights, which delays to decision making and also make the data not trusted. And for that, we're gonna pretty much ask the simple question is how open metadata actually is gonna help us to solve these problems and these struggles. Well, first of all, as you know, open metadata is a centralized metadata catalog, which means we have a single source truth of all of our ecosystem. For most of the connectors, if I'm not mistaken, we have like more than 85 connectors for APIs, databases, dashboards, pipelines, storage, etc. Second of all, we have the built-in lineage and relationship, which means we have end-to-end visibility to all of our ecosystem or sources. Third of all, we have the automation-ready APIs, which means we can do pretty much everything with API, and we can integrate it with a lot of tools or orchestration tools to try to accelerate also the governance. We have also governance at scale. The good parts actually in open metadata is we can enrich the data by adding descriptions, adding tags, owners, assign owners of the data, or pretty much also let's say add certifications to try to classify our data. So let's take an example. If our data is, we have like pretty much 3 classifications, gold, silver, and bronze. So bronze, it's mostly for the raw data. Silver, pretty much it's going to be for the pre-processed data, and the gold, which is going to be ready to be shipped to business owners for analytics, for example. And finally, the ecosystem integration, as I was saying, pretty much I would say like more than 80% of the most used tools in the IT field, they are already available in open metadata. And for that, we're going to take here a simple example of a workflow for automating governance. And for our use case here, we have 4 connectors, as you can see. So we have Kafka, we have PostgreSQL as a database, BigQuery, as for our case, it's the warehouse, and the Power BI, which is going to be for the data visualization. Pretty much cool stuff about open metadata is we have a lot of agents. So the common one is going to be the metadata agent, which is going to allow us to ingest our data from our different sources. But there is like others such as lineage agent or usage profiler, etc. So we have like a lot of good functionalities. But in our use case here, we're going to focus mainly on the ingestion. So what will happen often is once we have we have implemented open metadata in our ecosystem or our infrastructure, the first thing is we're going to add our metadata from these across systems. And then the good part is there is the metadata agent, which is going to run, we're going to, for example, parameter it to, will be run, I would say, each day at midnight. So if we say tomorrow we have a new topic or a table or a dashboard added to our connectors, it will be shipped and automatically integrated to open metadata. This is thanks to Airflow, the orchestrator. But what if actually we can spice these things up here for actually being part of the automation? And first of all, as a governance result, we will have faster insights. We will no longer struggle with repetitive tasks. Also, we're gonna have a trusted governance since everything is gonna come from source single of truth, and also scalable workflows. And for that, I'm gonna pretty much use here my Airflow. And here we have like the term DAG. DAG is pretty much just a Python script that we can schedule it, for example, to run every day. Let's say like at 2 a.m., for example, in the morning. The good part with Airflow that we have like the versioning, we can see the logs, we can schedule it, we have tasks, so we have like bunch of cool stuff. And let's take, for example, a scenario. Let's imagine in our warehouse or BigQuery, for example, in my case I was talking about, we have 30 tables. This is going to be easy for teams like to just add or assign owners or add descriptions, add lineage, etc., or the tags, the classification, certifications, etc. But what if we have like 10,000 or 15,000 tables? At this time, like it's going to be pretty much impossible to do this. The good part with Airflow is if you can use some logic, which I'm going to show you, for example, let's take a DAG here, which is this one, open metadata assign owners by service. What you can do is simply by simple logic, when you're going to trigger your DAG or your custom DAG, actually, you have here two values, which is going to be the service and the team owner. So the services, if I will go here in my open metadata, as you can see here, I have multiple connectors, but I'm pretty sure that the Kafka Connect here, for example, service, it's called Kafka Connect, or the second one, it's called Kafka Connect Iceberg. So if I will come back here to services and just specify it, and therefore the team owner, it's going to be, in my case, data and products. This team, it was already created in open metadata, so the API, it's already known, it's already have a knowledge about this. If I'm going to trigger this DAG, actually, what's going to happen in open metadata is, let me go back to this service, go to my 722 pipelines, and you can see that all of my owners in a blink of an eye were patched. If I'm going to go to the final one, I would say here, or like the last page, we can find it like they are all patched. And it's going to be pretty much the same scenario. The good part also is, since we do have logs here, so as you can see, it's going to tell you that all of your pipelines here were patched, and you can also, for example, do pretty much just an output just to say that the 72 pipelines were actually patched. As you can see here, I have 72. And the good part is tomorrow, let's say we have like another pipeline added in our connector. The metadata agent, we're going to ship it, for example, at midnight. And let us, for example, take this tag. It was scheduled at 2 a.m. in the morning. So each table or each topic or any data assets that will actually be added in open metadata, the Airflow tag will automatically also patch it, which is like something cool. And you can take this pretty much for all most of cases here. As you can see, I have patch tier tag, so it's going to be the same case. To actually patch certifications, I'm just going to go here, trigger it, put the service name, the certification value, whether it's going to be bronze, gold, or silver. I'm just going to trigger it, and everything is going to be patched in like few seconds. That was pretty much about the Airflow here. Let's move on to our second, uh, I would say, subject, which is actually the MCP server. That was actually a game-changing tool that was implemented by Open Metadata in like the V180, which was like 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. And the MCP, it stands for Model Context Protocol, which is going to allow us simply to communicate between an LLM, whether it's OpenAI or Vertex, Gemini, Claude, or any LLM we do have in the market, to communicate directly with our application. So right now, what we can do with the MCP of Open Metadata is actually we have the ability to search the data and intercept it directly by just putting a prompt. We can create lineage, patch descriptions, I would say creates glossary terms and many more cool stuff. But the thing is, what if we have other MCPs in our ecosystem? For example, here, let's take Grafana. So I have like the Open Metadata MCP and the Open Metadata Grafana implemented. Just to tell you here, now for the MCP Open Metadata, we can use whether the Cloud Desktop or the Goose Desktop. Goose Desktop is, I would say, a framework that contains all of the LLMs that do like available in the market. So when I go here, for example, I have some extensions, and you can see this one is the Open Metadata MCP, and the second one is the MCP Grafana. And let's take a scenario where, let's say, now the good part is we have all of our metadata or like data actually shipped to Open Metadata. The good part is what we can do. Let's take scenario is we're going to take a specific table, extract from it columns, and instead of going to Grafana and create the dashboard, the queries, etc., we can just ask here Goose by just putting a prompt to say, okay, go search for me this table by specifying, for example, here the FQN, which is the fully qualified name. In Open Metadata via API, we can like work whether with ID or the fully qualified name, which is going to be often the service name, the database service, the schema, and the table. So what I can say to him is easily go search me this table, extract this, for example, I would say columns, and create me like a query that's going to do, for example, this result. For my case here, it's a simple query that's going to actually count me the numbers of data assets I have between like a range time. And once you do this, go create me the dashboard in Grafana, create me also the graph, the SQL query, the description, and many other stuffs. So as you can see here in the chat, I'm going to just go here up. The prompt, what I said is use Open Metadata plus Grafana MCPs to create me a dashboard. Here it just said ensure the graph renders and display the exact SQL used just to make sure that everything will work perfectly. And then I'm just going to give him the fully qualified name of a specific table I do have in Open Metadata. The second part is to tell him like which columns I need to directly like do the query. And then for Grafana, we need few information such as the data source of where it's going to find exactly the database that will extract the table from when we're going to do the match. And here, for example, creates a dashboard name, which is going to be called assets volume monthly trend with here, as you can see, the range time for my query SQL, it's going to be between 20 April and 20 August. First of all, here, he's just replied to me saying that there is another extension enabled, so just disable it. Once I replied saying it's disabled, here he did give me the plan saying resolve the table open metadata. So he will use this function to extract me or fetch me the table, then determine the columns. After that, he's going to create directly the dashboard. He's going to construct directly the SQL query, etc. And here, as you can see, here he did like have all the information that actually he needs. Once it's done, I just told him, okay, since you have all the information, now go create me the dashboard. And as you can see, he did start all of the workflow, all like to create it. And here, as you can see, it's mentioning, okay, the dashboard has been created with, all of the informations. And the good part is when I will come back to my Grafana and I go to dashboards, I will automatically find my dashboard, which was like created by the MCP Grafana. And when I click on this, I will go here, example, see my results, my graph, which is going to be ready directly to analytics with the SQL query. He did like, I would say he knew about the data source here. I have the title, the description also, etc. And the good part also is since this dashboard it's already exists in Grafana, tomorrow or like when we're gonna run our metadata agent for this specific I would say connector. In my case now I'm using the 188, but the good part is in the 191 we have already Grafana available as a connector. So if I will search here asset, you can see, let me just go back here. You can see that already the dash was already shipped to Open Metadata. And the good part is when I'm gonna go back to use my Airflow, I would say governance automation, I can directly patch the certifications, add descriptions, etc. I can show you also what we can do also with the MCP Grafana. So if I will go here, I just told him, okay, do me a comparison between a dashboard that exists in OpenMetadata and Grafana. If you're going to find a match between these two, you just create me a description or patch me description where you're going to say the dashboard is going to be accessed via the URL of our Grafana with the ID of this actual dashboard. And if I will click on it, it will show me directly like the graph. So and you actually like there is a lot of functions that you can use. This is just a simple actually example just to show you the power when you will combine the MCP with open metadata with other MCPs. And finally here, let me just, oh, there's a mistake. Um, Finally, the future plans with open metadata for us, it's going to be the deeper MCP integration. I know that now there is a lot of connectors or a lot of companies that they are shipping directly MCP with their tools, such as BigQuery or Airflow or Elasticsearch, etc. So if at a certain moment, like you have, I would say 10 connectors in open metadata and you have like 10 MCPs with them, you're gonna have a full ecosystem ready like for anything, I would say. Second of all is gonna be the data contracts, but I'm gonna leave Harsha and Nicole to talk about this more and more. Third of all is going to be end-to-end governance automation, by also like try to make the DAGs more efficient and more scalable. And finally, expanding the connectors ecosystem, even if it's mainly hard to find or to work with connectors that they don't really exist in open metadata. But in the case we have like tools that they are not already shipped, well, it's going to be a pleasure for us to just build these tools, talk to open metadata, and we will get them like chips in one of the next, I would say, releases of open metadata. So that was pretty much the case. That was pretty much the presentation. I hope you really enjoyed it. Yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. And for that, I'm gonna just say thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that presentation. It was great to see, one you sharing more about NW's mission, and it's great to see that you're a part of that and really being able to organize that data at scale through Airflow. And then also really appreciate you sharing that demo with MCP, right? Not only does that, as you mentioned, open up some possibilities with Grafana now being shipped as a connector in Open Metadata 1.9. But I think it was easy for me to see to your last slide, it's not just an MCP server now for Open Metadata and an MCP server for Grafana, but there are many and new ones popping up all the time, right? Where Open Metadata has these native connectors. Now they're having native MCP servers too. So it was really interesting to see how you've been able to shape both of them. I think that that's going to, start to become more the norm of being able to combine MCP servers. So the way that you are able to pull information from one service with MCP, push information to another. It's just really great to see. And you can really see that utility that you're gaining from it, right? And things that would maybe be involve a lot of scripting, a lot of prompting, or a lot of digging through the UPI or API logs, really just having the models take care of that was excellent to see. So thanks for that community spotlight.